Hello, my name is Justin Long-Moton, and today I will be giving an oral presentation discussing the urbanization and internal migration occurring in Brazil. I will begin by providing a broad overview of Brazil's geographic and demographic data, which will provide an additional context as I shift to zeroing in on Brazilian megacity São Paulo. Utilizing the concepts and ideas covered in Unit 4, I will attempt to analyze the large-scale internal migration occurring into the megacity and seek to identify the consequences of said rapid urbanization and the mechanisms to be implemented to adjust accordingly. Let's begin. Brazil is the largest country in South America and in the Southern Hemisphere, sharing common boundaries with every South American country except Chile and Ecuador. Concerning area size, Brazil is 5,517,770 square kilometers, making it slightly smaller than the United States. Brazil has the fifth largest population in the world, with an estimated 208,846,892 people as of July 2018. The vast majority of people live along or relatively near the Atlantic coast in the east. The population core is in the southeast, anchored by cities such as Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. Brazilian urban population is 86.6%, meaning this percentage of the total population lives in urban areas. This will be an important fact to remember as we discuss the issues associated to rapid urbanization. The graph on the right depicts the drastic change in percentages of the population in urban to rural areas. Between 1950 and 2000, Brazil's urban population grew from 36% to 81% of the total population. This trend is likely to continue as it is estimated that 90.5% of Brazil's expected population of 223,890,497 will live in urban areas by 2030. During this time period, the country underwent major transformations and became an industrial and urban society rather than an agricultural and rural society. High levels of migration from the countryside to urban areas and agricultural frontiers occurred. The appeal to move to more urban areas can be viewed in terms of pushing and pulling mechanisms. During this time period, things pushing the population out of rural areas included shortage of alternative jobs, resulting in high rural unemployment. Housing in rural areas was worse than in the city, and also periodic droughts in northeast Brazil. Some of the things pulling the population were during the 1950s and 1960s, advertising campaigns were run in rural areas to attract workers to the city. There were more schools, doctors, and other services in the city, and those that had previously migrated to the city and found success encouraged people to join them. This brings us to our case study of Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo is one of the most cited cases of urbanization in Brazil. The city is located on the southeast coast of Brazil, and Brazil is Brazil's largest city with a population of approximately 22 million. The UN reports the city is one of the top 5 largest cities, certainly making it a megacity. The usual explanation for movement was poverty and the lack of jobs opportunities in the Northeast, combined with the concentration of industries in the Southeast, primarily in the state of Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo is the ultimate example of rapid urbanization. However, there are dangers associated with such rapid urbanization. The current conditions of the city create social exclusion and spatial segregation caused by urbanization. In the city center, you find skyscrapers and modern downtown buildings where it's the economic hub. But now in the suburbs, you still see the favelas. So the favelas are often built on steep slopes that are not capable of supporting the buildings that they are constructed on. They're constructed with recycled materials such as scrap metal and cardboard, which leaves the inhabitants exposed to hazardous weather. The close proximity makes its favelas exceptionally susceptible to disease and outbreaks, as well as high crime rates. The area was rapidly built in confined spaces and therefore lacks adequate water supply and electricity or a healthy way of sanitation, which then means health issues is certainly a problem. The city's large population also creates transportation problems, particularly on its roads. Traffic jams are known to stretch more than 130 miles in Greater Sao Paulo. More specifically, Sao Paulo's rapidly growing economy has caused wealth divide. There's an increasing gap between the rich and the poor, dividing the people into several zones. Have those living in gated communities to protect the rich, and then you have those living in the shanty villages of the outskirts. The urbanization of Sao Paulo has caused a wide gap between the rich and the poor. The income differential reaches 65.4%, with a 56.1% income differential across Brazil's major metropolises. Now, in terms of the way ahead, transportation is certainly a means to which urban planners can address the issues. Uh, Looking at the urban metro system, it improves movement of people and reduces pollution, new roads, new trains, and bus services. The helicopter has become so important that Uber has launched Ubercopter in the city. However, launching more helicopters will undoubtedly congest its airspace. Therefore, better infrastructure and planning is required. Brazil in its totality, but especially Sao Paulo, serves as an excellent example of the ways in which urbanization can boost an economy but severely cripple a society. The Brazilian society in the second half of the 20th century was structurally marked by its accelerated process of urbanization. The rural poor, looking to start anew, were cast directly back into a stratified society in which the elite occupied most of the areas with sufficient infrastructure, and the poor uh, were resigned themselves to the living of the cheap periphery of this city, further from the working opportunities. Therefore, it can be said that the massive internal migration resulted in a return to the original status quo.